Okay, let's look at Yaskawa tool coordinates. Up until this point, we've done world coordinates, which, stay static. They're at the base of that robot. And they do X, Y, and Z. And if you don't know how to do that with your right hand, then go back and look at other videos. But as a refresher, Z positive goes up with the thumb. Index X goes out with the pointer finger, and then Y positive goes out with the middle finger. And so it's sticking up, pointing right at you from the base of the robot. That's world coordinates. Okay? So let's look at the Yaskawa tool coordinates. Been working on trying to get this so that it's visually okay. All right. So if you look up here, you see that we're on joint coordinates. It's a little robot. I can change that by pushing my coordinate button right here. When I push that, it goes into world coordinates. When I push it again, it goes into tool coordinates, which looks like a gripper. And then if I push it again, it goes into user coordinates, which looks like a Y with a U and a number. What we're going to do today is we're going to deal with tool coordinates. Okay. So keep watching that space because I'm going to go back and forth between coordinates to kind of let you visualize what's going on. Let's get this robot up a little bit. All right, so I'm in tool coordinates. It uses X, Y, and Z like the user or like the world coordinates. So if I push X plus right now, all right, we're going real slow. So I'm going to hit this fast button, and that's going to turn up my movement speed. All right, so I push X plus and I go forward. I push Y plus and I'm going to the left on this one. I push Y minus and I'm going to the right on this one. Okay. I do Z plus and I'm going down. I do Z minus and I'm going up. Okay. So what tool coordinates is imagine world coordinates. But instead of staying static with that robot, it goes to wherever the tool is. So if we have the tool set so that it's perpendicular to the floor, then a lot of the stuff that we're doing looks the same but is backwards. Because if you look at the world, it's pointing forward, but that gripper is upside down, right? So my Z positive is going in the bottom direction. So if you take your hand and you move it to where the tool is oriented, that's going to be your X, Y, and Z. And notice that my Y, this little line right here, is going that way. And it makes sense. If this was upside down, it would be the same thing. So tool coordinates watches wherever the tool is, and you can move along that axis. Now, when you have the tool parallel to the ground and perpendicular, it just kind of makes it harder. So what I can do to visualize what's going on here is I'm going to take it out of tool. I'm going to put it into, let's say world. All right. What world is your X, Y, Z here. Z positive is going up, Y positive is going to the right, and X positive is coming out at you. Okay? Now, if I rotate about Y is going left to right. That means that my robot is going to work around Y. So what I want you to do is I want you to use these 6 buttons to play around with stuff. And if you notice when I rotate about Y, the point stays the same, but I rotate around the axis that I'm talking about. So Y being left and right, I'm rotating about that axis. Okay. So let's see if I can move this just a little bit. All right, so before I was parallel to the ground. All right, let's take this down a little bit. All right, so we're going to go down a little bit to give our joint some place to move. Okay? Now, imagine that I have a platen. I have something that I want to weld that is angled. Okay? All I have to do in tool is line up my tool so that it is even with what I'm trying to work on. And then I can move the tool coordinates. Notice I've got the little line here. Now my Z is still going to go in and out perpendicular to the workpiece. But if I start moving in my X, it's going to start moving up and down on that slope. Okay? So now, if I was in world coordinates and had to make that slope, let me put myself back in Cartesian world coordinates. If I wanted to make that slope, I would have to go out in X, and then I'd have to go up in Z. And I'd have to keep stair-stepping that forever. Okay? Or I could line up my robot so that's perpendicular to whatever piece I'm working on. And I'll need to do that in joint coordinates or world coordinates. And then I can move into tool coordinates. And look at here. Like it's going to keep going on that plane, and I'm not going to have to stair step it anymore. All right, let's turn it this way so we can look at Y. All right, so I'm still parallel with Y. So what I want to do is I'm going to go into, let's go into joint. I'll show you why we might want to use joint sometimes. In joint, we've got S, L, U, R, B, T. I don't want to get my robot kinked up, so I'm going to rotate on R a little bit. And now as I rotate on R, I'm going to speed it up. Oops, that's my bend, right? I'm going to rotate on R. Now, my Y component on my gripper is not lined up, parallel to the ground. So if I have something that's off at an angle and it's all, kind of cattywampus, I can line up my tool so that I'm perpendicular to that plane and parallel to what I'm working on. Then I can knock it back into tool coordinate. And now my Y is going to work on that plane. Now I've got a little bit of issue because it says speed at set, safety speed. A lot of times y'all ask me why things aren't working, and it's got a little thing up here. Either you've got an error that pops up or you've got things here. So I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. Maybe not that slow. And then I'm going to start working along my Y. And you see how now my Y is lining up. My X is lining up and my Y. So what I want you to do is go into joint coordinates, go into world coordinates and start working with the rotate about, okay? To get your robot in a funky position and to visualize what's going on with those 6 buttons, all right? And then I want you to go into joint coordinates, get it in a position so that your Y and your X are not parallel and perpendicular to the floor. And then move into tool coordinates and start manipulating it and seeing that the tool is working on that new coordinate system. Okay? And then let's look at a rotate about. So this is a good way of understanding what a rotate about. My y-axis on my tool coordinates that I'm in is right at that tool. So if I start working on my y, notice that my point doesn't move, but my robot moves around that point. So if I'm ever doing a program and I need to get my robot out of the way, either I'm going to have to use joint or I'm going to have to use those rollabouts. Okay? So this is the first part of that. What I want you to do is take a short video of you getting it in, of rolling about points and getting it into something so you can show tool coordinates really well, just like I'm doing here. All right. There's probably going to be another one. It depends on what year you're watching this. I might be old and gray or dead by the time you watch this. But the first year, you're going to have something else. It all depends on what winds up on the modules. I want y'all to have fun with this.